Welcome to the Ask Dr. Deanna show. I'm Dr. Deanna Osborne, your host. Join me weekly as I cover various health-related lifestyle medicine topics that you get to request. This show is for anyone who wants to proactively improve their health position. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to March. I am excited to be with you today and to jump into March. March is one of my favorite months because it is the month that spring happens, which happens to be one of my favorite seasons. Everything turns green and new growth and just new, so many new things. And so I always am inspired in the month of March. I hope that today's recording will be inspiring to you and helpful as well. Today, I want to talk about how to reverse inflammation. And I think, first of all, I want to start off by sharing a little bit of my personal health journey. Because as a physician, I kind of got myself into a little bit of trouble that was really very much diet related while I was in medical school. And I want to share that story because I think it's an important one. And I think that so many people out there struggle with what to do. You know, is it okay to eat fat? And there's a reason behind that, which is, what I'm going to get into. But basically, when I was in medical school, in the 90s, it was very, very common. You know, we didn't have a lot of nutritional education that went into med school. I mean, you're busy learning about so many other things. Nutrition just seemed to be a small piece of it. And as time has gone on, we have, of course, learned how very, very important nutrition is. It is the fuel that fuels your body. We know that food will either take you up or take you down in terms of energy. It's either going to, help you or it's going to hold you back. And so one of the things that was commonly being taught at that point in time was something called the low-fat cardiac diet. And the low-fat cardiac diet was basically just eliminating fat as much as possible from your diet as it would help prevent heart disease. Now, I had no risk factors for heart disease, but I was a very healthy person, health conscientious person, and this is what I was being taught at the time. I also, at that point in my life, was probably a little bit more all or none. I was either going to do something all of the way or none of the way, which if that's you, it's not a good thing. It's not a good, healthy pattern, okay? So you might want to take a look at that, but and break that habit. But essentially what I did was I eliminated so much of the fat from my diet to the point that I was really eating practically no fat at all. And, if you are not eating any fat and you've eliminated fat, then stop and think for a minute, what are you eating? If you're just looking at the grams of fat on the back of a package, and if it's fat-free, it's okay. What is it that you're likely eating? It was carbs. It was carbohydrates. It was sugar. There was no limit to the amount of carbs or sugar. Now, despite the fact that I was, eating a fat-free diet, I did not end up gaining weight on that diet, but I caused a tremendous amount of inflammation within my body. You see, it is critical. It is absolutely essential that we get essential fats in our diet. They call them essential fats because we can't make them. We have to consume them. And here I was, with a genetic predisposition toward an inflammatory arthritis. So, you can have a gene for something. It doesn't mean that you're going to end up with that disease or that condition or whatever. But it matters what you bathe your genes in. And so if I'm eating a high sugar, high carbohydrate, inflammatory diet, I, in essence, have just flipped the switch or turned the switch on so that now I'm going to develop this arthritic condition, which is in fact what happened to me. So it took a long time. I continued to exercise and to, eat this low-fat diet, just not realizing that was actually the thing that was causing this inflammatory arthritis type of condition. Ended up being diagnosed with an inflammatory arthritis by a rheumatologist, specifically something called psoriatic arthritis. And, that was really, really hard for me. I mean, I can remember sitting with a rheumatologist, probably at the age of 30 I was, fresh out of residency at that point. And having him tell me, look, this is inflammatory arthritis. If you don't do something in terms of a disease modifying drug, it is likely that, you're going to continue to deteriorate. You might even end up in a wheelchair, whatever. Well, I am the person who can't sit still. I love to move. I love to go. I think it's just the best thing ever. So that was horrifying to me. Quite honestly, it was horrifying. The thought of not being able to be as active as I have always been. And so, I really started looking at, what are the other options? What are other things that could maybe play into this? What am I missing? And I just really felt in my gut that I was missing something. And as it turns out, I was missing fat in my diet. That was the key, because when you look at those essential fats, the omega 3s specifically, those are anti inflammatory, they reduce inflammation. You have heard me so many times talk about this inflammation, and just that even when you look at disease and you think about, well, what causes disease? One of the number one things that causes disease is inflammation. And inflammation can be linked to allergies, of course. An allergy is inflammation. It's a allergic reaction. Think about all the inflammation that goes on with that. Coronary artery disease, there's an element of inflammation inside of that blood vessel. Arthritis, chronic inflammatory, syndromes, asthma, eczema, psoriasis. The list just goes on and on. Gastritis, that's an inflammation in the gut. You can have autoimmune issues, even like an autoimmune arthritis, but there's autoimmune hepatitis as well. So that would be an autoimmune liver type of disease, autoimmune lung diseases as well that can cause fibrosis and a lot of issues there. Autoimmune has even been linked to Parkinson's, as well as dementia. And then, of course, on the list also would be cancers, which we know respond to, inflammation. So here's all of this inflammation, and we have to look at, if we're looking at truly being healthy, embracing our health, being responsible for our health, then we have to look at the drivers of that inflammation, and then what we can do to basically reverse it, to slow it down. And there are so many things that we can do that can make a difference literally starting today. Okay, you can reverse a lot of the inflammation today. So some of the drivers, of course, sugar. The sugar and carbs, that ends up causing leaky gut. To me, that's the issue when you look at all of the autoimmune diseases. It is literally that because of the leaky gut, which is where you're consuming a lot of sugar, it causes inflammation in the gut. The lining of the gut, which should be a barrier, becomes more permeable than it should be, allowing certain toxins, certain antigens, that's what we call them in medicine, to cross over that lining. And then now you've got an immune system that is going to overreact. It's going to react to that because it's viewing it as a foreign substance, something that needs to be removed from your system. It's going to go into attack mode as well. And, this is an issue. Other drivers of inflammation would be certain viruses. We know that certain viruses will cause, a pericarditis, for example. That's an inflammation around the heart. We know that certain viruses, can cause inflammation in the pancreas, leading somebody to maybe develop a type 1 diabetes. So viruses, they can cause a viral hepatitis, inflammation in the liver, or even encephalitis, which would be inflammation of the brain. So we know that viruses cause inflammation. We know that chemicals cause inflammation as well. For a lot of people, whether it is they spray a household chemical that they're using for cleaning, they end up with an asthma attack. Again, that's inflammation. Or whether it's just chemicals in the food, preservatives in the food, things that have been sprayed on in an attempt to make farming better or whatever, that then we are absorbing an element of that, and it is contributing to inflammation within our body. And then Finally, we also have, as a driver of this inflammation, what I consider to be immune system dysregulation. And immune system dysregulation, to me, that's just where your immune system goes a little nuts. All right. That is the autoimmune, that is the leaky gut kind of phenomenon. But I just wanted to put a name to it, immune system dysregulation, and certainly one of the things that I see in my practice today, which is becoming more and more common, is something called eosinophilic esophagitis. And this is where a person eats a food and they have this extreme reaction where they have this massive amount of eosinophils going into their esophagus, and they end up not being able to breathe. It's an emergency. They go to the emergency room, they get treated there. They usually end up with an EGD, an upper endoscopy, to basically remove that piece of food or whatever it is that's causing the inflammation. And then they cannot eat that food, really ever again, unless they were to desensitize. But even then, I think that would be a stretch. So we see all these things in medicine, and this is an area in medicine that is becoming more and more and more common. We're seeing more issues with the immune system. And, so today, what I wanted to talk about is just really, how do we tackle this? What can we do to basically decrease the inflammation in the body and allow our bodies to heal? In some cases, that's what happened for me as I changed my diet and started incorporating lots of essential fatty acids into my diet, specifically the omega-3s. As I started doing that and just giving my body what it needs, my body was able to do some repair work and start on that healing process. And so today, one of the first things, of course, is diet. And we've talked over and over and over about diet. You know that I'm always saying it's got to be whole foods, nutrient dense, and clean. Okay, whole foods, it's real food. It's not fake food. Okay, that's what I mean by whole food. It's real. Nutrient dense. It is a fuel. It's fuel for your body, and it's going to help your body to function at optimal levels. It's, when we think about food, so many times we just think about energy, giving your body, the energy that it needs to be able to continue doing what you want to do. But there's so much more to it than that. It's not just energy, it is cofactors, specific vitamins, minerals, nutrients that help to run your biochemistry, okay, that help your engine to run. Okay, so if you think about a car engine, for example, this is probably not a good analogy, but a car engine, there are a lot of components. I know nothing about car engines, you guys, but what I do know is that it's complicated, and there's this little thing that makes that thing work, and whatever. Well, it's the same thing with our bodies. Your metabolism, your system is like an engine, and there are cofactors, vitamins, minerals, nutrients that are critical for your body, for your system, your engine to run appropriately. So we got to get that down. Okay, that's something you can start with today. Just making a change there. The other thing that is really, really critical. Last month in February, I called it Fasting February. We talked all about intermittent fasting. Well, intermittent fasting is a magnificent way to also decrease inflammation in your body. That's the reason that when people incorporate intermittent fasting and they go no sugar, no grains, and but very minimum, nothing to eat, after dinner, and fasting for at least 12 hours. No sugar, no grains, nothing to eat after dinner, and fast for 12 hours. And people see a tremendous improvement in joint pain. Okay. That's inflammation. That is inflammation being controlled by what they are now eating, and more specifically, what they're avoiding, and then also by adding in that element of fasting. So go back and listen to that series, the Fasting February series. It was definitely a good one, and I know one that my patients have asked for over and over and over, so that they can learn and incorporate these things. And then I also recommend, so in addition to the diet piece and the intermittent fasting, okay, what else can we do to help reverse this inflammation? Well, one of my favorite products that I use is an omega-3 essential fatty acid. I use one from Orthomolecular, is the brand. It's called Orthomega. And I love that one because it is a cold pressed fish oil. It's giving me the omega-3s that I need. And it also it tastes like lemon. Like you can literally bite into the capsule and there's no fishy taste. And it's not going to come back up on you. You're not going to burp it or anything like that later in the day, which is one of the number one reasons that people move away from, taking an omega-3 essential fatty acid. So Orthomega, again, orthomolecular Orthomega. Another product that I love, and again, this is just on my own journey with inflammation, with arthritis, trying to reverse that. Always make sure your vitamin D levels are where they need to be. Have them tested. Ask your doc to test them when you do your annual wellness. Definitely do that. There's another product that I love, also made by Orthomolecular, called turmeric. And this is a really potent form of turmeric. It's a blend. I'm going to put my glasses on. I've got a bottle of it right here in front of me. It's a blend that I like that helps with specifically musculoskeletal type issues. So when you think about joint inflammation, but here's the thing, anything that is going to decrease inflammation is going to be fantastic for the entire system. But this one is a very potent turmeric. It also has some bromelain in it, which comes from pineapple and is anti-inflammatory. It's got some quercetin and some rutin, as well as some vitamin C. Vitamin C is super important as an anti-inflammatory component. So I like this one. It's called turmeric. Again, it's a high dose of turmeric. And then a third product that I love, also made by Orthomolecular, is called collagen factors. And collagen factors, again, it's for musculoskeletal health. It's got some vitamin C in it. It's got a little bit of zinc in it. It's got some manganese. And then it has, this is the part that's really, really fantastic. It's got some MSM, which is methylsulfonamethane. It's got L-lysine, L-proline, and a couple other ingredients in it. And I find that to be fantastic, again, to just decrease total body inflammation. It's not just working in the joints, it's working in the GI system. As we've said so many times before, it's important to incorporate good, healthy probiotics as well. Definitely do that. And if you're wondering about the Orthomolecular brand, that's a functional medicine brand. Occasionally, you'll see a pharmacy that might carry it, but typically, I will send people to Fullscript, and they can order there. So Fullscript is a functional medicine site that has supplements that are available, and you have to have your doc, or a login to get there. But the website is just us.fullscript.com/welcome/D Osborne. And you can basically have access to the Orthomolecular brand and specifically those products that I recommended there. And then another great resource, specifically dealing with inflammation. Why does it happen? What can I do about it? How do I reverse it? All of those questions. It would be Dr. Deanna's Healing Handbook. You can find that at deannaosborne.com. But that is a great resource to help understand what has happened to the food industry. Why do we have all these grains in our diet? And just to see that, it's not necessary. We do address fasting in there. We address insulin resistance. We talk a lot about just so many things in that particular book, including hormone balance. So would encourage you to pick up a copy of that. There's definitely a lot of research, definitely some deeper science in that book. And on the podcast, my goal is just to give practical information that people can implement today, and that they can see results, that they can see a difference right away, as in, within a week, getting some great results. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'm excited to see, how many people incorporate this information and decrease the total body inflammation and, have better health because of it. So thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that episode. For more information, visit me at deannaosborne.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Deanna Osborne. I really want to hear from you, so message me. I love taking your messages and creating topics from them. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share my show with those who have an interest in health and wellness. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.